adaptive
intelligence.
You searched for more. You wanted to become the best version
Of yourself.
Your search is
Over.
and the
Technology
finally.
exists.
To go,
Beyond limits.
your time has come. Unleash your
Potential.
AQ.
Adaptive intelligence.
All right, everybody, let's jump right into it. So, today's talk is titled, Should the Arts Be Silenced? And I have a very special guest for you today. Her name is Mirta Vega. So, Mirta was actually born in Cuba, in Havana, and so she has toured all over the world, and she's come with a special message for us today. She's a screenwriter, a film producer, and a director, among many other things. She's a very talented and very intelligent woman. And so a little bit about her. So, of course, being born in Cuba, she was raised to adapt quickly and find beauty everywhere. She's fascinated by stories that explore the human condition and engages audiences with thought-provoking questions. Her last film, which I've actually seen and highly recommend, The Human Solution, was a 2021 Reframe stamp recipient and is also available for streaming on major platforms like Amazon Prime. And Mirta aims to provide equal opportunities for all in front of and behind the camera. Her newest film, which I'm highly anticipating myself personally, is titled The Rebuilding.
Imani said.
It's set in 2050. So basically, the premise of it, and she'll tell us more details, the premise is that there's a daughter of a charismatic government leader reluctantly embarks on a mission to find a doctor responsible for her father's untimely death. So if you would like to learn more about the film and support her, feel free to use the QR code, email her at that email, and you can also support by visiting that website that you see in the screen below. So, and if you're lucky, you might catch her at many of our other events, whether we have workshops or retreats or what have you. She will be one of our future special guests if she so inclines. So the topic of today is, should the arts be silenced? And without further ado, I'll bring to you our guest, Mirta. Okay, Mirta, glad to have you here today. So, Mirta, somebody just clicked on this video and they're wondering, why is this message such a timely and important message? Why should they stick to the end and hear everything you have to say?
Well, first of all, I don't know if anyone has been living under a rock lately, but our very liberties are being challenged daily. But as I was growing increasingly appalled by what's happening every day, I happened to see something that really, more than as much as anything else, drew my attention. And basically, I'm going to be looking down at my notes. On March 12th of this year, Argentina's far-right government, newly elected, cut all state funding to the national film body INCAA. So, coming from Cuba, I know that when the arts start being silenced, this means that they're going to be shutting us up. And without the arts, a people cannot survive. Sure, we need food, we need water, we need everything, but the arts are our soul. And this is what drives us, what inspires us, I mean, what gives us, after a long day of work, the will to keep on going, I think, because without inspiration, without something beautiful, even if it's a flower, that's art as well. I mean, a beautiful painting that you see, a great piece of music that you hear. We need the arts to survive, and we cannot be silenced. And this is why it's important to listen to the entire message, because I'm actually going to give you an action plan at the end of what to do in spite of this situation that's going on, how to survive.
Interesting. So I love what you're talking about, and it actually reminds me of a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. And so
Hmm.
basically what you're saying is the arts themselves, they help bring meaning to life. And even when things get dark, that meaning can help us survive the craziest things, like, Auschwitz, for example.
Yep.
What inspired you to go down this path? Because I know I saw your first movie. It was a great movie. I highly recommend everybody watch it. It actually talks about eugenics, and that was a big topic, during the Holocaust and the whole craziness that happened over in
Right.
Germany several years ago. Can you tell us more about
Yeah,
what your
several.
thoughts are on that? Yeah, several.
Yeah, yeah. Seems around the corner again. Um, I have always, I don't think that you start with the arts call you. So people that write, people that venture into film, people that draw, it's a calling. It's not something that you do because you're like, I'm going to take an art class. No, it's just more like you need to pick up a pencil and start writing. And sure, there's classes for form and proper script form and all of that, of course, and those are very important. But when you are drawn to the arts, it is a calling, just like being a doctor, you want to help people. This is a calling and it's bigger than you. And so it's not something that you choose to do, it selects you. And so The Human Solution was actually my second film. My first film was a little thriller that isn't distributed in the US, and it's set in a boutique hotel where a big corporate honcho, his life is turned upside down during the course of a tryst. It's called Tryst. And I'm sure you've never heard of corporate honchos getting in trouble at all. So yeah, it's not very relevant today either. So,
Well,
so
let's stick to what is relevant today. So, because what you said is, we're losing our rights day by day, and
mhm.
part of that, which you make dystopian films, which I love, by the way. That's like my favorite
Thank
genres,
you.
sci-fi and
Thank you.
dystopian. And one of the films that actually comes to mind is one of my most favorite. It's called Equilibrium, and the
Yeah.
most emotional moments in that movie are when they're destroying literally art, like a Picasso or a
Hmm.
Leonardo da Vinci. And I think they actually have a scene where they're burning
Yeah.
I think it's one of the Da Vinci's
Yeah.
s- and it's like the most emotional part, and then they also
Yeah.
have like puppies and a bunch of other things in that movie, but it all centers around a society that lost touch with its own humanity. So can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what art means to humanity as a whole?
Well, I mean, just imagine that when the Nazis came into power, what they did was seize the art and silence the artists. In Cuba, when Castro took over, anybody that spoke out against the regime, particularly artists, were immediately jailed or they disappeared. No one knows. Um, and that is one of the ways that they control. They control by taking away the soul's right to speak, the soul's right to create. And if we're not careful, pretty soon, those artists that refuse to leave when a country is being overtaken by an oppressive regime, those artists that remain will be told what to film, what to write, what to draw, because we won't have that freedom anymore. The reason I want to make the rebuilding is because if we don't make the rebuilding, our voices will be silenced forever. I want to make this film as a flashpoint since none of the court cases seem to be progressing in a timely fashion. I want to give viewers another thing to consider. And it's not a partisan film, it's not a political film. It just says, consider this. What if this scenario happens? How will we react? And I like to include everyone in my films as much as possible. If they have talent, they are welcome to work with me. And I love that. I love variety. I love inclusivity. And in Cuba, that's normal. Everybody's different. Everybody's a different color. Everybody's a different religion. And we all, when I was there, it was a very welcoming environment. And we have forgotten how to include each other. And this is something that the arts do, because the arts naturally, everyone's talented. How can we bring this together? And what I love about film is that every single person has something different to contribute. In my last film, actually my first film, I got a great idea from an electrician. And I just make a point of saying hello to everyone on set. Hey, and everybody's saying to me, you're the director. You don't have to say hello. I said, yes, I do. I'm saying hello to everyone that's here. And this guy comes up to me very shy, and he had his little hat in his hand, and he goes, I have an idea. I said, come on, tell it. And he had such a brilliant idea. And so good ideas come from anywhere. And I just love the collaboration, especially, the Rebuilding has such a fantastic story, not because I wrote it, but because it has the story. It's a journey of this girl, and she discovers herself, and she discovers what has happened to America. It's set in 2050 America, and it's just a story of rebuilding, because it's hopefully the first of a trilogy, and it's just a very powerful, uplifting, and yet realistic could potentially happen to us if we're not careful. So how did I get into the arts? I can't help not getting into the arts. Every day I have to write. Every day I have to create. Every day I have to put my phone away and say, no, thank you. So yeah, the arts calls you. And just like we're sitting in the car and listening to Marvin Gaye and we're feeling good. Why? Because that music brings something back to us. That music brings us into a joyful state, or reminds us of something else. Music impacts us. The arts impact us. It's so important to keep them alive, and we cannot silence them. Short answer.
Yeah, and I love that you really see somebody's soul. That's something that I know about you personally. Like, you really see
Thank you.
somebody as they are. Like, you see the heart, right? Which is, most people don't do that. And I feel like art in all of its forms is a way to do that, but it's a
Yeah.
way to preserve that and to transmit it to someone else. What are your thoughts on that?
I truly believe that, because we are so much more than the body. We are each other's. We are meant to be seeing each other's spirit and see how we can work together on that level. And it's so nice because when you really approach people like that, it changes everything. And it's like they see that you see them. They see that you appreciate them. They see that you want to make room for them. And that's the kind of atmosphere I like to work in. I like to make everybody feel happy and welcome. Now, don't get me wrong. Filming can be hard. We can have a horrible day sometimes. But if you have the right people you're working with and they feel appreciated and valued, it just changes the whole dynamic. So I just feel like it is so important that we realize that without this, we will be lost. We will definitely be lost, because, look at the books that are being banned. The funding for the arts is being cut in schools. What are we leaving for the newest generation? We're lucky as artists, people like myself, so many others that comprise the artistic community throughout the world, that we will leave a legacy. We will leave a legacy, hopefully one that people can go back to and reflect, wow, did that really happen? And then also that reflect, there's a way out of this, and how to have hope for the future. So we are the lucky ones. We are able to leave something for the future generations to look at. I consider myself very fortunate to be able to contribute to the arts in some way. So, but art does not exist in a vacuum. We need people to support us. We need people to, you know, like for example, in my film, we're seeking donations still. I mean, we have some people that are working with bigger investors, but this is a call to action. I want this to really be a grassroots effort. And when people donate to my film, because it's a 501c, what happens is immediately an IRS donation form is generated. So they have their tax donation for the IRS immediately. And I love that concept because they have immediate, I gave to the arts, I have a deduction. That's great. I mean, that's great. We live in a society where taxes are paid, as you know, and so there we go. So for me, not only is it the bigger investors, it's the grassroots people also that matter. Because I want them to feel, look, the arts are in danger of being silenced, but here's one way that I can make something happen. And even if it's $5, $10, whatever, it still helps. So anyway, does that help answer the question? I know I go all over the place, so.
It does. And I like that, you don't have to be, Mr. Super Rich Big Bucks to contribute and make a difference because we vote with our dollars, right? And so
Yep.
putting the dollars where they matter, where there's actually meaning,
Yeah.
that is the best way to spend money. I mean, like, come on, that's
Yeah.
that's supposed to be what it's for, like not just survival, but also contribution. And that's what brings even more meaning. So
Exactly.
I want to go back to what you were saying about if the arts are silenced, it's essentially taking away our not just our freedom of speech, but our fundamental rights as a human being, as a
Right.
soul, as a this creature that we are that is existing here
Yeah.
and now. And it's
Yeah.
not just silencing it right now, but it's silencing it forever. Like if you look back
Yeah.
on Egyptian art and all these other cultures, their art
Right.
told the story of who they were. And so
Exactly.
if you eliminate that, like they did in
Mm.
many communist countries, then you're
Yeah.
running into the problem where the government becomes God essentially,
Yes.
and then the people become robots essentially.
That's it.
And there's lots of dystopian movies about that. I'm sure you can
Right.
name a
Right.
ton. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, how can we preserve art no matter what, even in times of persecution?
Well, I have another project that's about that, so I'm not going to go into full length about my theories on that. But I think that we really have to safeguard ourselves and our creative heritage from the machine, because the machine is coming. And that is one way the oppressive governments will silence us. It's already starting to happen in film and the bigger companies that want to make money, which is why I will always be an independent filmmaker because I don't want the corporations telling me how I should film or who I should work with. I don't believe in that, or AKA the man. But I think that they are looking for ways to cut what they have to pay to people. If they can push a button and the machine does all of this, why should they hire people? So in my films, I will always hire people because I like people, because people have souls, people have ideas, and I'm not going to have a robot telling me how my film should be made. I think that idea is terrifying. So, but that is very alluring to the big honchos that want to save money and also an oppressive regime if they come into power. What do they need the artists for? Why should they have the artists there? We can save so much money by just pushing a button. So,
And that's becoming a bigger problem nowadays because of AI, like
yes.
all this generative
Yeah.
AI, and it kind of takes
Yeah.
away from the artist because
Yeah.
there's way more competition, and two,
Hmm.
there's not the human element to it. It's just a bunch of
Yeah.
gobbledygook that, is basically stolen art from other places and just kind of reshuffled.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I refuse to work with any aspect of it at all. I don't touch it. Even as a search engine, when it comes up, no, nothing. I don't ever touch it. So,
so what do you think we can do to combat that element of it? Is it just again like a matter
just
of people banding
constantly
together?
vigilant. Constantly vigilant. I mean, support art that is made by humans. Support books that are written by humans. I mean, do your research. Support independent film. You know, I mean, see if you can get invited on set and see how things are done. I mean, for example, when I shoot in Boston, I'm going to have, people, if they call me up or say, "Hey, can I visit set?" Yes, because I wanna have a transparent process. I want people to feel welcome, especially if they can contribute something to the production, why not? You know? If somebody says, "Hey, I contributed to your film," I'm like, "Please come and join us for a lunch or something." Why not? I mean, this is a give back situation. And I think that to combat the machine, you just have to be awake and alert. Go to, those art festivals that they do, those open air art fairs, walk around and see the artists at work. You know, look at their, sometimes they do those walks where you go to their studios, see how they make their art. If it's computer generated, run. That's not art. That's the computer doing it. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good point. I mean, of course, there's room for all types of creative expression. I'm not against digital
Sure.
art in general,
Sure.
but we do need to preserve the human element because
Yeah.
if we just rely on, robots to make art for us all the time, we'll never have our chance to express ourselves, and then we'll
Never.
basically acquiesce to, all right, the machine completely took over. I'm now a shell of who I used to be, and we don't
That's
want
right.
that.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's very sad, and it's happening more and more because it's easy. It's easy. I mean, I've heard so many. My daughter teaches school, and she says that the kids have to be monitored constantly so they don't have, the AI write their essays. That's happening everywhere. Everywhere. And I mean, I used to love all that hard work that I had to put into school. I used to, think it was great. I was trying to explain the concept of an encyclopedia to a girl that's 16 the other day. And she's looking at me like I was crazy. What? I said, yeah, they were like my 50 volumes. It was really cool. What? I don't know. I still like hardback books. And I like newspapers. I have my neighbor recycle them. I like touching the real thing. So, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Yeah. Well, all the time. I mean, if you notice the endorphins that art kicks into your body, if you're really tuning in, you'll just feel like happy or you'll feel like, I mean, look at people when they listen to a good piece of music and their body starts moving. That's healing right there. But what art does is it enhances brain function. And I wrote it down so I wouldn't like impacting brainwave patterns. Okay. So that the emotions and everything, the nervous system is activated, right? And this is happening whether you create art or whether you're just looking at art. It just naturally happens. Okay. And all you have to do is think, is there a bad piece of art that gives you a bad feeling? That's an emotion. Is there a piece of art that you love that makes you happy? That's an emotion. And it's always impacting our brainwave patterns. So, yes, art is immensely healing. I mean, in many meditations, they ask you, for example, focus on a color. And that is very healing. And I mean, there's so many ways that art tunes into healing. Another way is a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists are using art therapy as a healing modality for their patients that can't express the trauma that they've gone through. And I think that's a wonderful way to give an outlet for what they're feeling inside. In many ways, art gives us all an outlet to express the things we don't want to talk about, but we're able to say through story, for example, or through something else that we like, composing music, doing a beautiful piece of art. I mean, even scribbling with a pen on a sheet of paper can be cathartic. It's fantastic. So, yeah, yeah, definitely. It's good. It's so good. Hmm. Yeah. Right. Right. Mhm. Right. Oh, yeah. Mhm. Right. But the thing is, if you try to break it down too much, then it loses its magic. Like, I have a pet peeve against people that try to overanalyze every single film they see. And this one means this, and this one means that. I'm like, that's robbing people of their individual expression. Let them think for themselves. Let them walk away with whatever it means. That's the thing, because if you watch a film, no matter if it seems perfectly clear to you, to your neighbor sitting next to you, it may not mean the same thing. And I think we need our individual expression. That needs to be protected and guarded. Because I mean, who gives that guy the right to tell me how I should think about that film? Why? Why can't I just think about it for myself? Maybe I'm going to take 2 days to think about it, and that's my right. I mean, why not? So I think also that in using, like Jung, the arts for analysis, there's a fine line, because you can't overanalyzing is killing something. When you dissect something down to its barest bone, you lose the magic. And you lose the magic completely. There has to be a mystery to it. There has to be something. It's like for example, if you fall in love, are you going to analyze every single thing, like why do I like this person? No. I mean, sometimes you have to pay attention, but sometimes you just let yourself be swept away. And that's okay. Until you run into the brick wall, then you realize maybe I should have paid attention a little bit more, and that's okay too. You know, that's
Well,
fine too. It's a human experience. Don't overanalyze ever. On a film set, don't overanalyze. This is what we're doing today. Let's see how it comes out. We got a plan. Let's see how it comes. Yeah. So,
yeah, there's the trial and error type aspect and the non-linear logic, right? Because like our left
definitely.
brain likes to, the monkey brain is what
Yeah,
they call it.
sure.
They like, it likes to just chatter, chatter, chatter and calculate and
Mhm.
everything, but the other side of our brain, the right hemisphere, likes to express. It likes to
Yeah,
synthesize. It likes to have color and shape and form. It's really like the part of the brain that brings more beauty to life. It's not so rigid and
exactly.
analytical. It's not robotic.
Right.
We do have that
No.
side, but it's not.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on just that, because then you'll have all
No,
sorts of
you can't.
psychoses. You know.
Exactly. I mean, I personally would be lost without the arts, and I know many people would as well. But I tend to gravitate towards people that are creative, or at least can understand creativity, and I think that is a great strength. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I respect every field. Every field has definitely a lot of merit. Um, I guess I'm just lucky that I'm drawn towards the arts.
So do you think that it'll be something that you'll always do? Is because you're a very good storyteller, and I will say
Oh,
it's
thank
a
you.
talent that I wish that I had, but
Oh,
I need to
you have
develop
so
it.
many
Perhaps
other
you can help me.
talents.
That's true.
No,
That's
you
true.
have so many other talents. No, no, we are each born with our own skill set. You can learn other skill sets, but they will never be your natural skill set. Like when I walk on set, even if it's been a few years between movies, I'm like, this is where I feel most at home. Like, I love walking on set because it's just like home to me. And that's not a feeling that you can teach. It comes from inside. I don't know how to say it otherwise. And as a woman, it's doubly important that we get our voices out as creatives, because we have been silenced for far too long. As a minority, it is important that we get our voices out. And the arts should never be silenced in any way, shape, or form, because we need to have that expression. So will I always be doing this? Yes, of course. Picasso was painting on the day he died. Yes, of course.
Oh, did
There's
not
no
know that.
way that
Oh.
you never retire from the arts. That's another thing. When people tell me, "Oh, thank God it's Friday," I'm like, "What? That's just another day to me." I'm always
Right.
creating. I mean, who cares? It's like I look at people and go, "What? Friday?" Yeah. So, yes, I will always create. Probably I will create when they're taking me to the morgue or
Oh.
cremating me. I'll still be
Mm-hmm.
creating.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're always
Yeah.
transforming, right? That's what creation is.
Yeah.
It's a renewal
Exactly.
process. And it actually
Yeah.
has a lot of metaphysical aspects to it as
Yes.
well. I mean, like we live in creation, depending on your persuasion, you might believe in different creators, but ultimately we are a reflection of that, and
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
are in that image and likeness. And so
Yeah.
it's important to tap into that because that's part of not just our humanity, but also our divinity. So can you tell us a
Exactly.
little bit about that?
Exactly.
Like, what are your views on that?
I think that art is an expression of the gods. And I think that we are only the vessel that the art comes through. So whatever happens up there, I don't know. I mean, I never think, oh, I'm such a talent, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, because I know that all art comes from somewhere else. So the people that you attract on your film set were meant to be there. They are your new companions in the sandbox of this new film that you're making. And that's how, don't ask me why, don't ask me how these things happen, but of course, art is intrinsically linked to the divine. So whenever you see somebody saying, I'm so talented, I'm such a genius, I'm so this, run, because they forgot what it's like. This comes from someplace else. This doesn't come from you. You are not the talent, you're the vessel. And that's it.
That reminds me actually of a quote that Nikola Tesla said. He basically, to sum it up, he basically said that there's this outside force or field where all ideas and inspiration comes
All
from.
right.
And he said he
Yeah.
was able to tap into it, but not fully go to its core. And
Right.
so, I feel like we all are trying to tap into that, like even
Right.
perhaps the people that are like super into AI, they're trying to tap
Mm-hmm.
into what is that creative spark that is in all of existence and in
Mm.
all of reality, right? Because it's all pervasive.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, the harder you try, the less it comes to you.
that's
You
true. Yeah, you have
cannot,
to let
you
it
cannot, you
happen.
cannot chase it ever, ever. These people that see it's a matter of them trying to control. They want the control. And it's about surrendering. It's not about control. You will not get into the arts and be in a receptive state. You have to be in a receptive state to create. Okay? You cannot be about your ego. You cannot be about, I'm so great. No, it has to be an inclusive, welcoming environment. And you are just one of the vessels that is creating whatever you're doing. So whenever people try to get to the creative spark is laughing at them, going, "You're an idiot. What are you thinking? Run." If anybody talks like that, run. You're like, "Okay, thanks. Bye." Yeah. No,
I agree. I
that's
agree.
ridiculous. Yeah.
So out of curiosity, do you think that humanity will ever kind of step away from just the AI aspect of things and really like focus on just what is it that makes us human? Because I don't know if you've probably seen the movie Dune, right? And if you know
Hmm.
about the backstory of Dune,
Yeah.
Dune is like a post, kind of like similar to your story where it's post-apocalyptic, but it's set
Right.
way into the future to where
Hmm.
AI and robots basically took over most of humanity, and they had a big war essentially. They were so
Hmm.
dependent on the robots, they fought them back and they eliminated them completely. So the humans
Right.
ended up winning. However, they were faced with the dilemma of, well, now we can't use robots because we know where that leads to. So they
Right.
actually developed humans that were super capable. They called
Hmm.
them mentats, and they were able
Hmm.
to basically genetically engineer them to be super smart and intelligent and be able to do calculations in their head like a computer would.
Hmm.
which is a really fascinating idea. I never would have thought of it if it wasn't for Dune, which I actually heard
Mm.
somebody say that Dune is the Star Wars for older people, which is really cool. It's like for
Okay.
adults. They said it's a bit more
Okay.
gory. It's a bit more dark, so I can kind of see that. But do you think humans would ever kind of get to that point? Like we are just so focused on optimizing humanity that we kind of set aside all these other techno robotic things.
My hope is that the beauty of being human and making mistakes is never taken away. I don't want to be with a super computer that has a human form. I never want that scenario. I think there is beauty and value in making mistakes and being human and being vulnerable and being fragile. I'm not saying every day you have to be a weeping mess, but the vulnerability of being human is an experience that should never be missed. And we get home from many of us that work and get home and we're too exhausted to think about anything. This is the thing that we cannot lose is our humanity, which is why the art should not be silenced, because that is one way of tapping into our humanity. So no, I mean, to me, that is a horrific scenario. I really hope that I will not be around if that happens to see that, because it's of no interest to me. I don't want to be with a person that can spew out mathematical equations because he's been a super mega computer inside of a human form. That's of absolutely no interest to me. So no, I mean, although it might be in the future, um, I hope it's never something that I will live to see. Let's put it that way.
I see, I see. Yeah,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on Neuralink? Do you know what that is?
yeah, yeah.
What are your
I
thoughts on
mean,
that?
I think anything that helps the human brain is great. I mean, I think that's fantastic. We should harness our power, but we can't become supercomputers. There has to be a point where we don't rely on that and we just are human. I mean, I think we're losing. Look at how many people are on their screens all day long. People have forgotten what it's like to look in somebody's eyes and talk. People don't do that anymore. I find that very disconcerting. You go to the gym, people are on their phones. I mean, why? It's just like, I can't even understand. They're complaining about the dehumanizing aspect of life today, and yet they're contributing to it. So I think Neuralink is wonderful, and I think harnessing brain power is fantastic. Optimizing it at the same time, give that a rest. Give it a moment to just recover. Give it a moment to settle. Go to the ocean, sit on the sand, and watch the waves come in. That's fantastic for your brain. There's
Yeah.
nothing it's wonderful for your brain. And it doesn't take any machinery at all. You just have to get to the beach.
Do you think it's
And
possible that someday in the future, because we allow, machines to take over physical labor, that maybe
yeah,
a lot of humans will actually start to go into the arts because maybe if there's no physical labor, they can then focus more on their creative pursuits. Do you think that'd be a
I hope
possibility?
so. I mean, I definitely hope so. I definitely hope so. Um, or, I would like to see people, if they don't have to work, to do some altruistic, helping others. That would be a great thing to do if they don't have to be working because their work and their needs are being taken care of by machines. Why not? For example, go to an old folks' home and read to the people that are blind. Why not find a way to contribute? I think that's wonderful. But I think the arts is an avenue. For example, singing, people that go and join choirs. I think that's a great idea. I mean, there's so many avenues of being potentially useful that are open, but people don't even consider them. So,
I want to shift gears briefly because I love the story that you're creating with the rebuilding, and I'm kind of curious on what the backstory is of the story. Like, and I don't know how much you can say, right? But we live in times that are very similar to that fictitious
mm,
world.
mm,
Out of curiosity, in that world, what leads up to America basically being destroyed or corrupted or basically fallen like Rome. Is there any little tips or
Yeah, I
hints
can
that you
give you a
can leave
tip.
for us? Yeah, yeah.
I can give you a tip. 2024.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, what's happening today with the world? I mean, just look out, just read the newspaper or any kind of news source that you have and you trust and respect, if there are some, and see what's happening. I mean, the point is, and I saw this great quote, so I'm going to read directly from it, from an article in the New Yorker a couple of weeks ago, and it says, "Democracy doesn't die in darkness. It dies in bright mid-afternoon light, where politicians fall back on familiarities and make faint offers to authoritarians and say a firm and final no, then wake up a few days later and say, well, this time it might just all work out." And that sense of complacency, that fear, that encroaching oppression is the backstory to what happens, at least in my story, in 2050, where America is truly divided into two. And we have to find a way back to one another and find a compromise and find a way to rebuild. And that
Sounds
is the
beautiful.
gist of the story. So
Oh,
I
that's
love
beautiful.
that quote because democracy does not die in darkness. And we're seeing it every day. The arts funding getting cut, books being banned, independent films being made less and less, studios taking over with Marvel stories and, things that don't speak to humans. Make a human story. The story of the rebuilding is a story of a girl, and we see it through her eyes. It's a human experience of what could happen and how we can survive past it. So I like to make stories about people because I always like to leave the viewer with these questions. How would I react if that happened to me? What would I do? As artists, it is our responsibility to let the viewer think for themselves. When they walk out of the streaming or whatever experience, however they choose to watch it, I hope that it encourages discussion. I hope that it encourages, hey, let's think about what's your opinion of this? And I like that. I like to encourage the audience to think and to put themselves in that situation. I don't just tell a story. I try to take the audience with me on a ride. I don't want them thinking they're too comfortable. I want to make them uncomfortable. I want to show them things. And so the beauty of telling a dystopian story, especially in the tumultuous times that we are traversing, is that it's another point of consideration. As we head to the polls in November, I would like to offer this film as a point of consideration. Think about this. What if this happened? And I think that's a way to respectfully address the viewer and say, I think highly of you. Here's something for you to consider. I don't believe in ever talking down to an audience, dumbing down a story. That's an insult. I always respect whoever views my films. And that's the kind of filmmaker I always aspire to be. Naturally, nothing is made in a vacuum. I have a great team with me. Like the team I'm going to be working with in Boston is amazing, incredible talents. I just feel so fortunate to have found them. And the other people that are going to come on board, one of them is on in this chat room today. They're amazing people. They're like each of them has enthusiasm, talent, and just the way we mesh is incredible. That's the magic of making a good film. It's not just the story, it's everyone. So
I
so
love
this is
it.
why I tell dystopian stories, because I love to give audiences a point of reflection.
Yeah.
Human Solution was not dystopian. unfortunately, is still happening today, eugenics. But I think dystopian is the way to go right now with the way our world is heading.
Well, it's
So,
definitely relatable. And speaking of being relatable, I think part of why the Hunger Games became so popular is because a lot of the elements that are in that story,
mhm,
you can kind of see, like, if we keep going down the road that we're
sure.
going now as a society, at least in Western
Yep.
society, it's kind of tend toward that authoritarian
Yeah.
regime where human rights are just like completely
Yeah.
ignored and obliterated, and it's not a
Exactly.
healthy place to be, for anyone.
Nope.
I would
Nope.
say even the elites at the top, they have a lot to lose because they're constantly living in fear. So do you really want to live in a world of fear all the time, no matter who you are? It's not good. It's not healthy. It's better if we
But
do bridge the gaps.
and I agree. The thing is that if people are at the top and they're comfortable, thinking the uncomfortable issues is too much work for them. So while they're scrambling to keep their position at the top, it's our job as artists to remind them this could happen. This could happen. I mean, when the disaster at Chernobyl happened, it took all the Russian honchos by surprise. What? And that's our job with art. Our job is, hey, guess what? This could happen. Think about it. You know, I'm not saying that we're going to be a disaster like Chernobyl, heaven forbid. But the more comfortable you are, especially as an oppressive regime encroaches, it's a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous position. And who's sounding the alarm the loudest? The artists. Because we're watching. We are watching. We are, in a way, humanity's, we're each carrying a bugle. We're saying, hey, look, pay attention. Things are getting shut down. I mean, they're banning To Kill a Mockingbird. Diary of Anne Frank. I mean, at first when it happened, you don't pay attention. You're like horrified and then you forget about it because you're so tired. But we can't afford to sleepwalk into this like Liz Cheney says. Liz Cheney can be somebody that I don't 100% agree with, but she's right. She's right, and she has the guts to say so. And so we as artists, we're sounding the bugle in our own way through story, through film, through books, through music. We're saying, pay attention before you won't hear us anymore, before we are silenced. That's the whole point.
There was a quote, and I hope I do it justice, but it basically said, first they came for, I think they
Right.
said, for the crippled, then they
Yeah.
went for the Jews, and I
Hmm.
didn't speak up for either one of them, and then they came for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
you don't want to live in that kind of world. Nobody does. Nobody does. Let's be
Exactly.
honest.
Nobody does. But the thing is, we are all so tired. People are exhausted and downtrodden by all the crap that's coming at us every day. But when I saw the funding in Argentina being cut off, that was like a red alert for me because I've been following the situation, unfortunately, that's devolving with great chagrin. But when I saw the arts funding getting cut, not even diminished, cut, remember I said to you, Gabriel, I need to speak to you about this. I hope we can get some people and other people will tune in later and buy the interview because this is too important a subject not to speak about. It
Yeah, and like you
affects
said,
all of us.
exactly. And like you
Yeah.
said, like you were in Cuba, like they did this, and then,
Yeah.
I'm from Argentina. I was born there,
Yeah.
and so like to see they've already been going through a lot of like tumultuous times with their
Yeah.
economics completely
Yeah.
going haywire, and now that they're cutting things that are important, that's
Yeah.
probably not the best approach. Maybe you should have like eased things off or
Uh,
provided other avenues, but just to cut
that's
things
never
off
going to
without
happen.
mercy and without
Yeah.
discussion, that
Well,
there'll probably be some
that is,
backlash. Hopefully they, get things
they have no
together and they
choice.
say, right, yeah.
They
Hopefully,
have no choice. Don't forget, history is rewritten by the victors. So whoever wins is going to have the power. Whoever wins.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not
hopefully they.
making any predictions. I'm just trying to get my movie made.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully they learn
Yeah,
the easy way instead of the hard way. That's the best
yeah,
I can wish for them. I mean, I want them to
exactly.
do well, but
Oh, absolutely. Everyone, everyone. Yeah, but they did elect a far right government, far right, which is a very popular trend throughout the world lately, apparently, sadly. But so we have to protect what matters, the arts, so that our voices can still be heard.
yeah, and I agree. Either
What?
either extreme,
Yeah,
like far left, far
yeah,
right. It's
yeah,
two different wings of the same dodo bird. It's better if we
yeah.
meet together. It should be about
That's right.
compromise and about coming
It
together.
should be.
We all have differences of
Definitely.
opinion. What matters
Yeah,
is that we can cooperate and build a better
that's
future, not
right.
just for ourselves, but for
For
our
everyone.
children and for everyone that comes after. We want to leave the
Yeah,
world a better place than what we
right.
left it. So that's something that I
Exactly.
feel like Western society is kind of forgetting, and they're losing that
Yeah,
core value,
of
which
course
we
they
need to
are.
remember. This is
Yeah,
the most important thing.
yeah,
Yeah, what's the point if like 100 years down the line we live in a dystopian apocalyptic world where everything is
yeah.
horrible? It's like, will humanity even want to continue to exist at that point?
Well,
Like,
see, this is the thing, is like we have to put the warnings up. That's why this film has to be made. The more warning signs we can put up, at least we can say we tried to help. We tried to tell you this is happening. Let's see what we can do to change it. And that's why I want to make it into a trilogy, because my hope is that we can hold hands and find a compromise going forward. That's what I would like to see.
yeah,
So,
and I'm curious to see like how your story continues on. I've seen a little bit. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I've seen a little bit of the beginning, and I definitely want to see what happens to the main character, how she evolves throughout her journey, and the characters around her as well. Is there any other little things that you can say about your film that you want to share, but that won't give away any spoilers?
the only thing I would like to say is, if people can tell other people, and I'm happy to meet with them over Zoom. And if you're in the Bay Area where I am currently, I'm happy to meet with you and tell you more. I There is a link on the slides for to get in touch with me or to donate directly on the film's website. It says a lot more about the film, including a short synopsis. Um, and as mentioned, you do get an immediate IRS deduction form for whatever much you donate. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Please, this has to be a grassroots effort. We need to get this made in Massachusetts, and it's my hope that we can get it going within the next 2 months, because otherwise it'll be just, I mean, we can get it made, but I don't want to wait too much longer, because a film does take time to set up, and we need to get that. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your church groups, tell anybody that you think might be interested in considering this project. It's a small indie film, but I think it will be very relevant, and hopefully, I mean, my hope is that maybe one day it will be shown in schools, you know, and kids can say, that's what happened, or that could have happened, but we didn't let it happen, you know. So that's the takeaway. If you can please get a hold of me through the contacts, or check out the film website yourself and tell your friends, because you too will see how this is one way to keep the arts alive, and especially as we head towards the elections. Support independent bookstores, support musicians that are playing out in the streets, support local art fairs, go to visit artists in their studios, support the people that are making art, and write to your local government about not cutting the arts funding in schools, rail against the banning of books, all these things that we need to do to keep our arts vibrant and alive as life continues on this planet. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Mirta. So we're going to go ahead and end the interview, but we're going to go ahead and open up to those who are here. If you guys are
Okay.
watching us from streaming or from other platforms, if this is not a recording, you can go ahead and join us. There's a link in the description below. For those of you who are here, we're going to open up the floor and allow you to speak. And so if you guys would like, you can unmute yourselves, turn your videos on, and then I'll go ahead and just know if you turn on your video, you will show up in the recording. However, if you just want to speak, don't turn on your video. You can just speak. So we'll go ahead and take any questions that you guys might have. I do see Everett in here. I see Imani in here.
Can I say hi to Imani? Hi, Imani.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi.
I'm so glad you joined. Imani's going to be on my film.
Oh,
One of the
really?
people that's working with us. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh,
Imani, hi.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
I know. So good to see you. Okay, Imani, listen. Hey, girl.
see you.
Okay, so listen. Get out there and tell people about this. We got to get it going. Okay.
Yes, you do.
Isn't she great? I still don't
Mhm.
know what we're going to get you to do because I want you to do more than acting. So we'll figure it
Okay.
out. We'll figure it out. Yeah. No,
Curious,
she's a
what
go.
is her role? What is her role so far?
Anything. She can do
Anything.
anything. We'll
Like an
figure it
extra
out.
or something?
TBD. TBD.
No. Besides, because she doesn't have the lead female role, she auditioned for that. But I got to tell you, but I want her involved. I want her not only to be an extra, but she's a multi-talent. So we have to figure out how we can, because I want her on. She's been like so awesome. And I really believe in loyalty, and she really supports this project. And I really want to have her there. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have such great people. We have such amazing. Wait till you see the production design docs. You're gonna love it. Imani, so much work has been done. So much work has been done. We're ready to go. We just need more donors.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
I know some people on your team and like they're just amazing. They're the best.
Right?
Mhm.
Oh my God. I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. I know. So anyway, get the word out. Alicia was supposed to be listening, but she's on post, but she knows all about this. Yeah, we got like I mentioned, a lady that's handling bigger people, like that have more funds, but we gotta make this more of a grassroots, especially with what's happening in the industry. We gotta support Massachusetts. I mean, come on. You know?
I mean, we just had 2 Oscar-winning films come out of Mass.
I know.
Oh.
I know. So, but there's a lot of fear right now with what's going on with the government and everything, and I just think that this is why this grassroots side of it is really important. Because the more people we get to feel like empowered because they're supporting something that's happening there, I think that's going to be very powerful. Do you know? So, whatever you can do, if you want me to meet on Zoom with somebody, let me know. You know how to reach me.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's so sweet.
It'd be fun if I could do be an extras or some guy in the background. That'll be my title.
Some guy in the background.
Some guy in the
It's gonna
background.
be. That's gonna be. Yeah. All right. So Everett, do you have any questions for me?
Oh yeah, Everett's also from Boston as well, so I would.
Oh,
love to
this is your friend
hear-
from Boston? Hi,
Mhm.
Everett.
Hi, I was going to ask you, what part of Massachusetts are you in?
Well, I actually, Gabriel has told me about you. So
Oh,
and so I would like you to be one of our extras.
are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I want you to be
Oh,
one of our extras. Yeah.
Hooking your brother
holy
up.
crap.
Yeah, I want you to be one of our extras. So, you will know when we're getting ready to shoot. But Everett, listen, start strangling people and getting money out of them.
Well, I mean, I can make no guarantees, but
Yeah.
I do happen to know a couple of gentlemen
Okay.
that are in some very high corporate settings, is the nicest way to put it.
Yes.
And their focus is economics and diversity inclusion.
Perfect.
I think that your film may actually be something that they are willing to lend their ear to.
Perfect.
And I'm going to talk to the gentleman hopefully within the next week,
Okay.
and I will see if it's okay with you. If I
Yeah.
could perhaps get you a meeting so that you could talk to him.
Absolutely. I am 100% committed to this film. So 24/7, if I have to wake up at 2:15 in the morning, I'm good. Okay, because this is my number one priority to get this film made and to meet all my Massachusetts friends like Imani. I'm going to be hugging everybody for at least 3 days straight. Like, I missed you
goodness.
guys. Even this, it's like going to be awesome. It's like going to be a homecoming. So let me tell you guys, because I don't think you guys know why I picked Massachusetts. When I was in my late teens, I got a ballet scholarship and I spent a month on Nantucket Island.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then I was so in love with Massachusetts, and everybody was so like open, and I just love that Northeast work ethic and just like go get 'em, and I just love everything about it. And I vowed to myself, I will return to Massachusetts. And so when I had this film project, I said, I'm taking it to Massachusetts. I don't know anybody there yet, but I'm taking it to Massachusetts. So I started getting, the cast and the crew that's on board already, Monty, Alicia and everybody, and they are
Wow.
so insane. And Alicia is one of my producers, and she read the script and she says, "Oh my God, we gotta get this over here." So I am so honored to have such amazing people on this film. I'm just like, it brings tears to my eyes. These women and these men are amazing talents, and it's going to be such a beautiful experience. And don't worry, because my next 10 films will also be made in Massachusetts. So you got plenty of work, Imani. Plenty of work. That's right.
It's exciting.
That is correct. So,
It's like, I got
this is the thing is like, I believe in supporting the local economy. I believe in hiring local. I believe in giving people opportunity. I believe in inclusivity, diversity. And I'm going to tell people, look, if you're disfigured, I want you on my set. If you're crippled, I want you on my set. I want everybody that has, as long as they're talented and we can work together in a team, that's who I want to hire. Because you know what? I'm all about giving people an opportunity. Because if I don't stand for that, who will? And when I go, when it's
Amen.
my turn to go, I want to say, I helped so many people. And that's a great feeling. I love the feeling of we are such a powerful community,
Yes.
and we will not be silenced. We will not be shut out by the oppression that's coming. We need to make our voices heard, and we need to stand tall and strong and proud. So that's what I stand for, and this
It's
is
better
why.
to prepare than to have to do something once it happens.
Exactly, exactly. And this is why I'm so grateful Gabriel gave me the venue to speak out. I said I have to speak, and he taped it so people can access it later. But you know, I'm so glad to see Monty's beautiful face on here, and to meet Everett. Everett, yeah, no, because when Gabriel told me about you, I said I want him on my set. I want him as an extra, definitely. So I definitely want you on there, and you're gonna have so much fun with us because we're fun.
Actually,
Oh
he'd be great on
yes.
set, giving everybody massages while they work. He'd
Oh,
be
well, you
awesome.
know what? As long as we can work and we don't get too relaxed, we're good.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'd be great for the massage part, definitely. I used to actually do acting when I
Great.
was
Oh,
13, 14 years old.
I didn't know
I
And
didn't
that.
know that
was
either.
you didn't know that, Gabriel? I didn't tell you
No, you
about
never
that?
told me.
Oh
Huh.
man, so I was going to, I don't know how familiar you are with Boston schools, but the school
Imani's
that I
familiar.
was,
Yeah.
okay, so have you ever heard of the Timothy Middle School, Imani?
Oh,
Sorry, the what school?
The Timothy Middle School?
No, so I only went to college in Boston. I didn't go like K through 12.
Oh, okay. Well, the Timothy Middle School back in the late 90s, let me turn my camera on. I have a visual impairment, so forgive me if I'm not
It's
great with
okay.
cameras.
Don't worry about it.
But
Don't worry about it.
the Timothy Middle School was one of the most prestigious middle schools. It was like voted like number one and number three in
Wow.
Massachusetts.
Wow.
And I was in the vocals class doing acting. And
Wow.
we did acting, we did singing, and
Wow.
I excelled at poetry and
Wow.
acting out the poetry. So much
Wow.
so that they wanted to send me to Boston Arts Academy with scholarship.
Jeez.
And my mother, of course, said no because she's very paranoid.
Yeah.
But
Of course.
but
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's great. Well,
I used to be really good at acting.
welcome to your new home. The rebuilding. You're gonna
All
love it.
right.
You're gonna love it. Yeah, I mean, Everett, hook me up with these two guys that you mentioned. Let me
Mm-hmm.
know how it goes. I mean, Gabriel can always get in touch with me, but you have on the slides. How can he get my email and stuff, Gabriel?
I can
How
send
can
it
you
to
get
him.
it to him?
It's
Okay.
it'll be in the video. It shows it multiple times.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that you get it so you have a way to contact me, and
Yes.
and that way I can get back in touch with you. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to send you information for them to look at. But I think also a face-to-face chat so they can know what we're about would be
Mm-hmm.
really important at this time. So,
Okay.
and
Because
don't forget to tell them that they get an immediate tax deduction for whatever they donate.
okay.
I'm a 501c. I'm the film is being sponsored fiscally by the Gotham Film and Media Institute, which
Wow.
is an institute out of Brooklyn. And they usually only take documentaries. And let me preface this by my film was fully financed last year. And then the investor died of COVID. Yes, people are still dying of COVID. And then the Gotham found out that my film was free, and
Mm.
they contacted me, and they usually only handle documentaries, but
Mm-hmm.
they said this fits in with our mission and we'd like to fiscally sponsor the film. This happened last July. And so Imani knows whenever you donate, you get an automatic IRS deduction form. You've donated this to take to your taxes. Anybody that donates any amount of money gets an immediate tax deduction. And of course, down the line, depending on the contribution, there's other things that we can offer. But the immediate perk is the IRS deduction.
I think
Gotcha.
what we should do is actually go to a lot of charity events and like talk to people because there's people that love to do this, like, you know, and they made so
Gabriel,
much money that year that they need something to
Gabriel,
donate to.
Gabriel, there's no time.
Yeah.
There is no time. I do not have time to go to charity events. I have time to make direct contact, like with people like Everett, and tell Imani to go to her grocery store. You know,
Unfortunately, I don't have friends in very, very high places.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But Everett, yeah, if you can like think this might be a good venue,
Mm-hmm.
that would be awesome. You know, I don't think
Well,
anything happens by accident. I think that everything. I feel like there's an angel helping this film. You know,
amen.
so and the mission is so important because of how all of us are facing a situation that is not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm happy to talk to anybody that can move fairly quickly. You know.
I will. So I think the best thing to do is probably to get a summary of what you're looking to do. As compact and short as you can. Maybe one or two paragraphs.
Yeah.
What I will do is I'm most likely going to talk to the gentleman tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
He's essentially the vice president of a company,
Oh, great.
uh, which is very. He knows some big hitters like the Kraft family is one of them.
Great,
So,
great.
um,
Let me tell you this, Everett. I do have a pitch deck prepared, and the pitch deck lists our budget as 850K.
mhm,
Ideally, this film would be 3 million, but we can make it for 850K. So,
okay,
do you want me to just send you the pitch deck? Because that says the story, who we have on board so far. It doesn't have everybody. The website on the Gotham also lists that, but that's already in the pitch deck. Imani, you're not there because we don't know what you're doing yet, but we'll figure something out. Imani, all
Yes.
around talent.
Yes, that's just my title as of right
That's
now.
it. That's it. That's it. Head of credits.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
will. Whatever you want to send me, that's going to best explain it.
Okay.
Because the gentleman that I know is he's an attention to detail kind of person,
Okay.
and if you're lacking detail, he's not really gonna look at it.
Right, right, right.
um,
Well,
the,
do you want me to email it to you? If you give me an email, I'll shoot it over to you.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
What
let's
is it?
not share that right now because we're still
Oh,
live. So let's focus more
Oh,
on
we're
the
live?
interview process. Yes, we're still live.
Are
So
you recording this?
yes, of course. So let's focus on the subject. And I'm curious
Are
to
you
hear
gonna
what you
edit this
guys'
out?
Yes, we can do that. So I would
Oh,
love to hear
please.
what you.
I thought after I said thank you, we were done.
No, we're done with the interview portion. We're not done with the Q&A. So right now is Q&A. So I'm
Okay.
curious to hear what your guys' questions are. Do you guys have any questions for Mirta about like the film or like what the storyline is or just life in general? I'm curious to hear.
Life. Still figuring that one out.
oh, we all are.
Yeah, yeah.
So am I.
No guidance over here on that one.
Oh, you say wise things.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. All right. So I guess
um,
nobody has questions. Take off the mic and stop recording us so we can talk.
Okay, so to everyone watching online, if you guys want to jump in and have more of this personal discussion, use the link in the description below. RSVP, get the link, join us in. And I hope that you enjoyed the interview, and we'll catch you guys all in the next one. Take care. Shh. Wait, give me a few minutes while I finish this up, and then you guys can just say whatever you want. Almost there. So I'll send you this. Don't speak yet, but I'll send you this recording, Mirta, and you just let me know what timestamps you want me to cut at. Almost there.